I found this story where it shouldn't have been, and once you hear it, it doesn't let go. They told me room 413 didn't exist, and at the time it sounded like one of those stupid little superstitions hotels keep around to make themselves feel interesting. You skip 13, people feel safer. I didn't think about it again until my hand touched that wall and it moved under my palm like warm skin and something on the other side of it quietly said my name. If you like stories that feel a little too real before they fall apart into something much worse, go ahead and like and subscribe to Bloody Chapter. You'll want to stay for the end of this one. The hotel was called the Marrow Grand, which should have been my first warning. I had been driving for hours through fog and empty roads, and when I finally saw the building rising out of the mist, it looked more like a hospital than a place people were supposed to sleep. Inside, the air smelled damp and metallic, like wet carpet and old pipes, but underneath it was a faint sweetness that made my stomach turn in a way I couldn't explain at the time. The man behind the front desk wouldn't meet my eyes when he handed me the key. He just slid it toward me and said, "Fourth floor. Room for 1-2," like he wanted the exchange to be over as fast as possible. I tried to make small talk, because that's what you do when something feels off and you're pretending it doesn't. I joked about missing room numbers and asked him what happened to 413. The way his face changed still makes my chest tighten when I think about it. His jaw stiffened, his fingers dug into the edge of the counter. And he said, "There is no 413, not like a rule, but like he was begging me not to say it again." I didn't push him. I took my key and went to the elevator, trying to shake the feeling that I had just stepped into something I didn't understand. The elevator ride felt longer than it should have. The music inside it was broken, looping the same warped notes over and over. And the lights flickered like they were barely hanging on. When the doors finally opened on the fourth floor, the hallway was quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. It felt empty, like something had just left. I walked past the doors, reading the numbers as I went, until I reached 410, then 411. Then 412, past that, there was nothing but a stretch of yellowed wallpaper where another door should have been. No plaque, no handle, just a blank section of wall that somehow felt heavier than everything around it. I don't know how long I stood there staring at it. The longer I looked, the more wrong it felt. The wallpaper was cracked and peeling, and it looked like it was shifting ever so slightly. Like it was breathing. The air there was warmer, thicker, and it made the hair on my arm stand up. I told myself it was just an old building doing old building things, but my hand reached out anyway. When my palm pressed against the wall, it didn't feel solid. It felt soft, and then it split open with a quiet, wet sound, parting down the middle to reveal a doorway that hadn't been there a moment before. Inside was a hotel room, but it didn't look like one. The carpet was dark red and threaded with faint veins that pulled slowly beneath the surface. The walls glistened as if they were damp, stretching and contracting in a way that reminded me of lungs. The lamps hung from cords that twitched when I moved, as if the room itself was aware of me. The smell hit me all at once, sweet and metallic and rotten. And it made my eyes water. I should have run. I should have screamed. Instead, I stepped inside, because fear has a way of freezing you in place until it's too late. The doorway closed behind me without a sound. When I turned back, there was no door, no frame, just smooth, pulsing flesh where the exit had been. That was when I saw the bed in the middle of the room. It wasn't made of wood or metal. It was made of people. Arms formed the frame, legs twisted into the posts, and faces were pressed into the mattress, their mouths opening and closing slowly as if they were trying to breathe. Their eyes were still alive, and they all looked at me. At once. "Help us," they whispered, their voices overlapping in a way that made my head pound. The walls began to move, sliding closer, folding in on themselves like the inside of a throat. I ran to where the door should have been and pounded on the wall until my hands were slick with something warm, instead of opening back into the hallway. The wall split to reveal a bathroom that was just as wrong. The sink was made of ribs, the mirror was stretched skin, and when I looked into it, I saw my own face staring back at me, pale and shaking, with something tall and twisted forming out of the walls behind me. That was when I finally understood that the room wasn't a place at all. It was a body, a living, breathing thing that wore a hotel room like a disguise. You don't leave, it said in 100 stolen voices. You become. The floor softened beneath my feet, and I began to sink into it like wet clay. Hands pushed up from below, grabbing my legs, pulling me down, and faces began to form in the walls around me, all of them screaming silently. I begged. I don't remember what I said. My throat burned, my eyes filled with tears. And the room only seemed to enjoy it more. It laughed, and the sound was like 1,000 doors slamming shut at once. I could feel my skin melting into the floor, my thoughts slipping away, my memories being pulled out of me one by one. I was being turned into part of it, reshaped to fill whatever empty space it had inside. The last thing I saw before my eyes filled with darkness was the wall opening again, just like it had for me. A tired man stepped inside, dragging a suitcase behind him. The doorway sealed behind him, and he looked around in confusion, just like I had. I tried to scream a warning, but no sound came out anymore. I was already part of the bed, my face pressed into its surface, my mouth opening and closing in a silent, endless plea for help. If this story got under your skin, make sure you like and subscribe to Bloody Chapter. Some rooms don't let you check out, and some stories never really end.